Hello everyone and welcome to this video where I have a super cool creation I want to talk about. It is the drilling submarine made by Lord Bison. He is one of the administrators on my Discord server and he built this alongside the help of a couple of others I think, but I know he is the main creator and what a pleasure this vehicle is. First of all, the fact it's a big submarine. Second of all, the fact that it actually can drill, so you can take it to an underwater location that has a drill and you can drill. And not only does it do that, it can also send up the oil with this little pontoon. So if you are drilling at the bottom, you can use this and you will actually be able to deliver the oil to the top and have a ship take it off without even making the submarine leave its post. So it allows you pretty much to collect oil without the use of a ship that's on the surface. Now inside the sub is super cool. It actually features an area that lifts up on pivots as the submarine tilts down. So when you have it kind of hitting the ground and it's entirely rotated, the interior is also matching. So super cool way to do it. Now in the hull is a massive drilling area where you have all the rods on a wall, and of course we're looking at it side on and it would be rotated, but you see that here is the pump jack and the actual drill that goes and penetrates the seafloor. Now I'm going to test it out and see and show you how it works. Maybe in the future Lord Bison and I may have a joint ALTA version of this vessel, but for now it is a creation that he's super proud of, and rightly so. What a great build. Even just looks awesome looking at it. I really do love this tail end here with the propeller and the fins. Just a beautiful, beautiful creation. However, its main job isn't being beautiful, it's being functional and useful, and I'll show you how functional and useful it is. Now here it is sort of submerged, sitting on the surface, and right now we are on the tower and we're going to make our way into the submarine. Now before one does that, one should go to the map and purchase a variety of these oil deposits. You can do that from the oil vendors, and then we make our way there and start to drill. So I'm going to set a waypoint here. If I zoom in just so we have the right accuracy, we set our waypoint, and that's going to actually affect the mini sub, or rather large sub. But you see on my map I have multiple of these oil drills. This just happened to be the closest. So on the exterior we have the tower that we can climb up using these ladders. There is actually a side hatch that you could use. I'll show you that in a second, but we open this up and make our way down the ladders, close that up. Now in the main room here we have all the gear, which I'll show you in a second, but you see this button here actually opens up this airlock. So if you do want to swim around, you can use this airlock and it will open up and you can pretty much go diving. But for now we're gonna stick to the dry and temperature controlled area here. Now like I mentioned, there are pivots that actually rotate this area, but in this area we have the helm with the ballast controls. This is actually where you operate it. It has sonar, and if we're sitting on the helm you can press 5 and it rotates the map view. Now if we plug in our GPS coordinate here, we actually get this nice arrow, and if we press 5 it shows us the path we have to take. So it's quite useful and good. Over here we have information about the submarine itself, some Arctic gear. I do love the fact that there's a surface hot, so when you turn on the burner, turn it off, the surface hot waits a little bit before shutting off. Very realistic of an actual oven. I find that detail quite nice. And here you have canned goods, see that just turned off, utensils, Miss Kitchen, and then here it's bring your own supplies, which is awesome. We'll see if we do get, oh, and fancy spices. That's a neat little trick. Over here we get a table to sit at, and up here we have beds to sleep in. Now it's all in one big room. Not a lot of privacy, but what it does do is actually fold into a 3-story style room once we get underway. Over here is the drilling controls, and you can actually see all this. Now I'll explain how all this works in the video, but primarily now we can hop here and get underway. Now to do that, I'm gonna turn on the main propulsion, and if we watch here, our speeds picked up quite nicely. Now if I use the arrow keys, or rather W and S, I can dive, and if I press auto mode, the ballast tanks are going to pretty much automatically engage. Now I love the use of the water jets actually for the controls. So you see the big propeller here spinning, and here we are. So it handles very nicely for such a large submarine, and we'll make our way to that waypoint. Now of course with this view here, you can also press 5 and just pretty much follow that compass arrow. Now you can see that it's balanced out, so the ballast tanks are working. We've achieved kind of that neutral buoyancy, and we're making our way to that targeted point. Well, actually we overshot it, so the thing is very fast, very fast underwater. So we've overshot it. We'll make our way back there, just trying not to hit the surface there, but what I will do is also turn down the throttle. Now Lord Bison, his recommendation was actually as we approach the target to really turn that throttle way low and prevent pretty much the submarine from overshooting like I just did. I'm going to turn it down even lower here. And what we then do is as we reach that target, you can see here we're approaching it. On the outside view we've kind of stopped, which is actually good for us. Gonna give it a little bit of throttle, gonna goose that throttle, but what I will do is arm the descent system. So activate descent. This actually allows us to pretty much turn this submarine vertical. Now we're gonna make our way a little faster to that point. Now this number here tells us how far we are from the bottom, so we do want to make our way pretty close to the bottom here. And you can see we're 200 meters away. That's okay, we're going to give it a little bit more throttle. Now, it's only my 3rd time using it, so definitely not an expert by any means. But just like any precise operation, we definitely have to apply, you know, some brain power to this and not just fly right at it. But I'm going to activate that, and you can see that this rotated, and now we can actually make our way still forward. But what that lets me do is use the arrow keys to rotate the submarine, and if I press 6 I can actually use a rear stabilizer or jet to kind of push us into position. So we're 100 meters away now. I'd say that's pretty good and pretty close to the required area. So what I can do now is press the up arrow, and you could see the submarine will actually start to lift up. Now I need to make sure that my throttle is turned down, and while I'm still hitting the up arrow key, the submarine will lift. And what's super cool is the room automatically lifts too. So once we get in position, the submarine itself will actually lock in place. Now that is due to this drill acting kind of like a magall, but it is finicky and it does take a little bit of getting there, and that's just kind of a limitation of the magall drill system. But once it is attached, we will hear a sound and it will be ready to go. There, we got it. So it says connected, and now that means the submarine is in place. It's not going to move any further. You can see on the exterior it pretty much latched itself to the ground, and The drill mag is active, the drill is connected, all these things are good, and we can pretty much leave this spot and climb up. So I'm going to climb up the ladder here into the next bay, which is our little kitchen area here, and of course our main drilling area. Now in here it says PPE is required. We're going to break the rules just now. We're going to walk in and climb up this ladder, and you can see in this room is a very bright light, and it kind of hurts to look at, but what we have down here is the pump jack, and now it's in proper orientation here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be using this here clamp or whatever it's called, picking up these rods and then turning them into the joiner here, which is also part of the turntable and the drill. Now the pump jack itself will make its way up to the top there, while of course we put in the rods. So that's basically how the mechanical system of this works. Now there are 4 cameras spread out throughout the bay, and they're going to help us pretty much maneuver and position everything in place. So I can make my way back down here. Don't tell Lord Bison I went there without PPE. And we'll sit at the chair, and now when we're sitting here, it has all of these buttons, all of these controls. This here tells us how many rods we have left. Now I did test it out. I may still fail at it, but what I do know is there is a sequence. So here you could actually release the float, which is that pontoon thing, but you don't have to release it for drilling the oil. This is just useful for using a ship up top and extracting the oil without bringing the sub to the surface. So the sub pretty much acts like a, not a sacrificial node, because you can actually return rod retraction and you could put your rods back in place. So it's not sacrificial, but you could leave it while you use a ship up top and pump the oil out. Anyway, we're going to start this off so we can activate the pump jack equipment, and then you see if I actually move things, the screen here moves, but I have to enable the gripper, and that actually lets me bring it into place. Now we have a camera on the top and a camera on the bottom, you could see, but pretty much now we're aligned with the wall and we can go up, down, left, right. Now I do have to send my pump jack to the top, and that will pretty much make sure that I have space for my rod clamp to get in. So again, if I go into this room, the pump jack right now is still there. I think I have to enable it. That was one of the bugs actually, and pretty much you have to just turn this switch up and down, meaning it sends the pump jack up or down, and you can see it's making its way to the top, so all is good. Maybe in the final version this will be resolved, but of course there are just some limitations in the game with this sort of thing. Anyway, we can now position this here in front of the wall and bring it towards the rod, press space, and now it's clicked in, and then we could press 1 and actually rotate it. But before I do that, actually I messed up. I had to bring it to the top. Whoops. That may be a note I actually put on the screen here that just says make sure the rod is at the top. But anyway, now with the rod in place properly, I can push it into the clamp here, or joiner, and you can see on this screen this makes its way in, and now I can actually feed it down, and the clamp joiner is on, and it says joiner clamp is active. Oh, I actually heard it. So then I can release this, press space and bring this back, and that is actually in place, which then I can lower the pump jack. The pump jack is going to come, and you could actually watch it make its way down, and it should attach itself to that rod. Okay, you see that it's going. Oh. Anyway, now I can enable the drill, enable the slurry and water pumps, and now we're actually making progress. You can see the rod is being pushed down by the pump jack. We're gaining depth, and what it is approximately 50 to 100 meters is when we can expect oil. So it's going to take maybe 5 of these rods. What I can do is press 1 and get this clamp ready for the next rod. For sure we're going to need at least a couple more. So with that in place, this can attach. And remember, always send it up to the top before rotating it around into the other side. If I press 1, it actually sends it off to this side here. And we're at, oh, now that may be the max depth, so I may have to send this already to the top. Yeah, you can see that that's right there, so we need to feed another rod in there. I will just wait for this to go to the very top, and once that's there, I can use this system and put my rod in line there, lower it a little bit, and bring the joiner up. Oh, there we go. It automatically clamped it. All I do is release the clamp, bring it back, and send the pump jack down. So with that second rod in place, it's going to get much more depth, and as it starts drilling, we're going to keep gaining ground and momentum here. We did it! The oil is hit. We've reached 39 meters, and we are officially getting oil in, so I don't have to have the system go any deeper. So I can actually stop that, or rather stop the drilling, which is right here. And we are gaining that crude oil. Now I did send up the float while I was working, and you could see if I make my way to the very surface, there it is. So it's kind of just bobbing along on the surface, but this is where you bring your other vessel, attach it, and there are a lot of fluid ports, so you can transfer the oil very quickly and effectively. Now down here is the sub, and there we have it. So we are officially filling up with oil. We ended up using 6 rods, and that's pretty awesome. What a cool creation. I have to say, just using something like this, getting this working, I actually lost a rod, getting it working and getting it functioning to the point where it's actually giving you a result. So it's not just, you know, a pretty picture, it's actually something that works and works quite well. So this was like a semi-automatic, semi-manual style of operation. Of course, you use your own controls, very similar actually to the ALTA rig that I made. It's kind of like, it's not fully automated where you press a button and leave it. It takes some doing, it takes some thought and work, but in the end, you can get there and you can literally reap the benefit and rewards yourself. So there you have it, a super cool creation by Lord Bison. I'm really excited to make an ALTA version of it, just because I've not done anything quite like this before, and to be honest, this motivated me to build my own submarine as well. So we'll see when I get to that. I'm super busy as always, but you never know, especially if I prioritize the right things. But anyways, thank you Lord Bison for this fantastic creation. What a marvel. Just such cool technology. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this build, if this is something that you'd like to use, if you have any suggestions or ideas otherwise for the ALTA version. Of course, I'm going to redo the interior with the ALTA form, and I'm going to do some other modifications, but the primary functional system will remain because, of course, that is Lord Bison's specialty. If you guys haven't seen his amazing ship that folds and does all this crazy stuff, or his ambulance that flies, the man's got skill. So thank you all for watching. Stay tuned for more videos, stay tuned for more creations, and as always, happy Stormworksing everyone. See you next time.